We like to think of ourselves as the masters of our own logic, yet even the most intelligent people routinely fall for obvious scams or self-destructive ideologies. It suggests a fundamental gap between how we think we work and how we actually function. Conscious reasoning is a modern addition. While we perceive choices as logical, they are driven by an older, emotional engine. To influence experts, our deeply held beliefs are simply software programs, easily rewritten if you apply the right pressure. By analyzing the most effective propaganda and sales tactics in history, researchers have found that nearly all human motivations can be distilled into a few primary biological drives. This mind engineering framework focuses on 4 specific triggers that consistently override our rational filters. Understanding these 4 levers is what separates the people who design the world from the people who simply live in it. Before a manipulator can pull a lever, they have to find a point of entry. This starts with identifying the void, an unspoken psychological need, like the craving for status, security, or belonging, that the target hasn't yet fulfilled. Once the void is identified, the first lever is greed, the drive for more. Whether it's power or money or exclusive access, persuaders frame their offer as the singular, most efficient path to obtaining that tangible gain, often making it feel like a mathematical certainty. The second lever is fear. This taps into the primal, hardwired reflex to avoid pain, isolation, or loss. It is the most urgent of the triggers because the brain is designed to prioritize survival over everything else. This chart illustrates a concept called loss aversion. In our biology, the pain of losing something is twice as powerful as the pleasure of gaining an equivalent item. A potential loss carries more weight in our decision-making than a potential reward. Manipulators exploit this imbalance by creating artificial scarcity or highlighting a limited-time offer. By threatening the loss of an opportunity, they trigger a state of panicked compliance that shuts down the brain's analytical capacity. Greed and fear are devastatingly effective because they don't ask for your permission. They hijack the survival instincts that have kept our species alive for millennia. The third trigger is lust. Beyond sexual desire, this encompasses the broader human craving for sensory pleasure, elite connection, and the feeling of belonging to an exclusive tribe. By associating a product or an idea with social acceptance or irresistible pleasure, a persuader creates a cognitive shortcut. The brain begins to prioritize the promise of that emotional reward over the actual utility of the offer itself. The fourth lever is vanity, the ego trap. This is the drive to be seen as superior, uniquely intelligent, or more successful than those around us. When a manipulator appeals to your perceived brilliance, they make compliance a test of your identity. To reject their suggestion would feel like rejecting your own self-perception as an insightful, capable person. These 4 triggers are rarely used in isolation. Instead, they are cultivated through a process of engineering the storm, where the persuader builds an emotional environment over time. It starts by planting a seed, a subtle hint of a secret or a benefit. This is amplified through repetition until the manipulator can present a stark contrast between a painful current reality and the euphoric future they are selling. By the time the final request is made, the target's logical faculties have been buried under a manufactured emotional state, making the desired choice feel like the only natural conclusion. We live in a world designed to keep these levers in a state of constant tension. From social media algorithms to political headlines, our primal triggers are being pulled thousands of times every day. Without a way to identify these moments, we're effectively operating on a script written by marketers and strategists who understand our vulnerabilities better than we do. The most effective defense is a tactic called emotional spike detection. It requires you to pay attention to your own internal state. The moment you feel a sudden, intense surge of urgency, greed, fear, or vanity during an interaction, you must pause. Recognize that this spike is usually a signal of an external influence attempt, not a genuine reflection of the facts. By naming the trigger as it happens, you create the psychological distance necessary to decouple from the emotion. It allows you to pause the program and make a decision based on your own values rather than someone else's strategy.